My name is Sarah Mansell, and I work at the English Language Center here at UTSA. In this video series, I'm showing you how to complete your application for the International Graduate Pathway Program using the Liaison application portal. If at the end of this video series, you still have questions about your application, you can contact the English Language Center by calling 210-458-7677 or sending an email to englishlanguagecenter@utsa.edu. In the previous videos, I've showed you how to create your application and add a program, how to complete the personal information section, and how to complete the academic history section. In this video, I'll show you how to finish completing your application and then submit the application when you're finished and ready to submit. All right, let's get started. So we can start with supporting information. The first section is an acknowledgement, and you'll see a few different small paragraphs here. It's important that you read and understand each one of these paragraphs before you click I certify I have read and agree. You need to agree to all of these statements in order to submit your application. When you've finished, you can press save and continue, and then you go on to documents. Here you'll see any required documents. You can press here to upload the document that's required. Okay, here I have TOEFL and IELTS test score report. Once you've completed this, you can move on to the program materials section. And here you'll see all the programs that you've added when you went up here to add program. Every program is going to have different requirements in this section, so make sure you pay careful attention to what your specific program requires. When you click on your program, you'll first see some information about your program and the admissions requirements. When you go to documents, you'll see what required documents are listed here, and then any optional documents. Once again, it's important to pay attention to what's required for your program, because every program is going to have different requirements. You can see here that there's a required statement of purpose for this program, for this application. But if I go to another one and I go to documents, then you'll see that this program requires two different things, a CV resume and a statement of purpose. Okay, so make sure you're paying attention to what your program requires because every program is different. After you've submitted your required documents and any optional documents, then you can go to recommendations. Here, you're not going to submit the letter of recommendation yourself. Instead, you're going to list some people, some recommenders, who will then complete a form and submit a letter of recommendation for you. Let's look at this. Once you've saved an electronic recommendation, an email request will automatically be sent to the recommender on your behalf. Please advise your recommender to look for this email in their inbox, as well as their spam or junk mail folder, as emails do occasionally get filtered out. Okay, so after you complete this form, an email will automatically be sent to the recommender that you list on the form, which will allow them to complete a recommender form and submit a letter of recommendation for you. It's important that you're in contact with the person that you fill this form out, the recommender. I suggest that you contact them before you complete this form so that you know that they have the time and they agree to write this letter of recommendation for you. Once you've submitted this form, you should contact them and make sure they check their email for the instructions on how to complete their steps. If they do not see the email, they need to check their spam or junk mail folder because sometimes the email gets sent there. Okay, so we can click here to start the form. You're going to enter in the first and last name of this recommender, an email address, the due date, and then you can write a personal note for the recommender here. Make sure that you put an email address that is current and that your recommender is checking. That's another reason why you should probably contact the recommender before you fill out this form, so you know a good email address to list. Here, waiver of recommendation. I waive my rights of access to this recommendation. If you click yes, then you will not be able to access or see the letter of recommendation that is submitted for you? If you click no, then at some point in the future, you will be able to see this letter of recommendation. Finally, you have two permissions that you have to agree to. The first one, I hereby give permission to contact this recommender via email to request the completion of the recommendation form and letter of recommendation. So first, that's saying you're giving permission for an email to be sent to the recommender that you listed above for them to then fill out the form and write this letter of recommendation. It also says, if my recommender does not submit an online recommendation form in response to the email request, it is my sole responsibility to contact the recommender directly to ensure all recommendations required by my designated schools are received by the deadline. So what this means is that this application is not going to keep reminding your recommender to fill it out. It is your responsibility to stay in contact with this recommender and make sure they fill out whatever they need to complete before the deadlines. So it's your responsibility to make sure that your recommender is completing everything in the time that they need to complete it. Okay? To agree to that, you'll press this. Then permission for schools to contact the recommender. I understand that the schools to which I am applying may contact the recommender either to verify information provided and or for further clarification of the information provided. Here, you're giving permission for the university to contact your recommender to ask any further questions about their recommendation. And you need to give permission to both of these in order to submit this form. When you've completed, you can press Save this recommendation request. And then if you need to add more, you can add more here. Now, once again, this is going to be different for every program. We can see up here how many are required and how many are allowed. For this program, 2 are required and 3 are allowed. But for this program, only 1 is required and 2 total are allowed. So make sure you're paying attention to how many are required for your program. When you've completed that, you can go back to the main My Application page. And if you're finished everything, all of these should appear green. For me, you can see that these 2 have appeared completely green because I finished them, but these sections are not because I have not finished them. So I'm not ready to submit my application. When you're ready, all of these should be green. Then you'll click Submit Application, and you can see the different programs that you've added. When this is completely green, then you know you've completed everything, and you can press here to submit. Make sure you continue processing your payment in order for your application to be submitted. Okay, and you'll see your total fees up here depending on how many programs you've added. Another important thing is right here. Once your application is submitted, no changes or refunds can be made. So you want to make sure that you double check everything carefully, because after you submit and then you proceed with your payment for the application, you cannot change it or have any sort of refund on that fee. Okay. All right. So now I've explained how to complete all of your application for the International Graduate Pathway Program. If you have any questions still, you can contact the English Language Center. Good luck.